Hi everyone, I'm in a different place today. The heat is quite bad, but I'm just getting back to Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. I have finished putting down all my pieces, so there's cantha, pretty wide cantha, there's little crosses, there's invisible stitch. So as everyone's having trouble, they're too big to show. But I'm going to put mine out, so I've got an idea of where this table edge and where the vase is going to go. So that's right off the camera, and the vase is going to come here with the flowers. And what I've found, so I've got a story. I've got a story to tell. A traditional rice jar is probably even a bit more open-lidded than that, but this is the shape: rice jar, ginger jar. Now the story about this vase or jar, you can see, just going to put that there because this is about the size I think I want for the proportions of my piece. A lady contacted me and said, I've got to have a surgery. I'm also a pet sitter. Would you be able to mind my cats? So I went round. She lived right across the road. It doesn't happen like that. So she's just moved in, sort of diagonally opposite to me. And she was showing me her house, and she's just moved in. So she said, please excuse the mess. But, you know, often when people say that, the room is not messy or the house is not messy. It's just there's a couple of boxes left to unpack. They've finished most of their unpacking. Anyway, we're talking about things. We got talking about, she said, what do you do during the day? I said, oh, embroidery and art. And she turned out that she is an artist as well. She's not an embroiderer. She is a fine watercolour artist for botanicals. And so she showed me some of her work, and it was just absolutely beautiful. Very, very detailed. Anyway, it's funny because she was in awe of my work because it's more abstract and she can't do that. So isn't it interesting? It's like the straight hair, curly hair thing, where when you were growing up, if you had straight hair, you wanted curly hair, and if you had curly hair, you wanted straight hair. It's a bit like that. Anyway, she had a vase, another one, on her kitchen table. And I said, is that a ginger jar? And she said, oh, well, I know it as a rice jar. And I said, it looks like the shape of a ginger jar from old times, where I looked up the history, where they would take the spices and the ginger places in China. And the jar kept the lid on and kept the bugs out, and it kept everything sealed in. So they did use it also for spices, not just ginger. But I said to her, I'm doing a project with a ginger jar, and I was going to borrow her small one on the kitchen table. Then she said, I've got another one. Do you want that one as well? And I said, one will do. I just wanted the shape. And anyway, so she lent me her, what she calls a rice jar, and what I'm calling a ginger jar, to do some sketching of. So I have started the project. I believe there's quite a bit to do. I am so behind. However, this is going to be the sort of the shape of the vase, which I am yet to cut out. I've done a sketch for the vase and flowers for my little individual pieces. And here's where I'm up to with the table. And you won't have seen I have added stitching onto the table back. This is rows and rows of chain stitch for the back of the chair. The chair back, not the table back. The chair seat, there's 3 different types of threads across in cantha stitch. This is the bottom of the chair. And I've put a little bit of lace in some, not all of the corners, just some, just to, I don't know, it just was a bit bare. I've still got to do something on here and something on here. But at the moment, what I've been working on is just the bowl of sugar and the salt and pepper. So I've started using 2 strands of a grey because I remember I said that I thought that the type was just a bit too light, like a pale pencil. So this darker colour, wasn't sure, I thought maybe it was a bit too dark, but I've gone around here as well, so I'm bringing it in to other pieces. Oh, I'm just looking, it's a bit, that was in the shadow a bit. So I'm just doing a back stitch here, standing up as I'm doing it. It's very, very hot in the garage, and I don't know if I said, but I do need to get some form of ventilation in there. It's a combination of the heat, the glues. I can't actually be in there at the moment. My health took a massive dive. So I've had all sorts of scans. I had a CT scan of my whole chest area because I just felt like I couldn't breathe, and so we were checking, and it looked like if I kept continuing on that could be creating damage. So I'm having a break from the garage. So this isn't the ideal setup, but we get there. So this is where I'm up to. I don't think I'll fill that in, but I'm going to do some white threads through here for the salt, and then I am going to probably do something with this back of the chair and some white threads to tone that orange down a little bit because it's a little bit bright. So I'm almost finished my chair. Now, I'm going to show you, I haven't done the vase yet, so I've done it the wrong way around again, as usual. Nothing new about that. I'm going to show you my flowers. Okay, so I have been madly, and I say madly because it nearly drove me mad, I have been cutting out these flowers. To tilt it a little bit, get a bit more of the light, I think. So I've been cutting out, I've put on stabilizer on the back, so there's a lot to stitch down. The vase will be somehow there, and these will all be in and under, or over and under. Wherever there's an edge of the fabric, I'll be tucking it under. So you can see some of the stabilizers not quite ironed. Anyway, but you get the gist of it. So the next thing I've got to do now is get on and make my vase. So I'm going to go off and actually these ones hang down, these like bluebells or something. Believe me, this was not a 5-minute job. In fact, it took me all day and all night. But there they are. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to go off and get started on the jar while I'm on a roll and not distracted by all the needs of everybody else around me. And I will be back. I was just looking through some of my blue materials, and I picked up this round, quite large tablecloth. off Facebook Marketplace. We couldn't work out what material it was. She didn't know much about materials. Feels like it could be a poly cotton, but it might be a cotton. Not sure, but I think that this will be really nice for the vase or the jar, the ginger jar. There's other bits like a bit of a sunset or moon rising, but the flowers are particularly nice, and I did try a dark material and it just sort of didn't quite work. So I think it might be better with a light with lots of white, so it'll stand out from the orange and then highlight the flowers. So I'm still working out how to cut out the ginger jar shape. I'll be back. Okay, so I have imported my vase photo into Procreate. I've taken a photo on the angle that I think will work. I'm doing it on an A4 sheet, so it'll be more like that size, which I think is going to be about the right size. If not, I'll cut the material wider. And I'll just show you. I imported the photo in, and what I do is see if it's at full opacity, you can't see the line you're drawing. So I've taken it right back, and then my second layer is a sort of a grey colour, and I'm using peppermint brush, and I'm just making it larger and going around the edges. I mean, you can freehand draw it, of course, if you're great at that. I'm not necessarily great at that, but this one, it just gives me enough to cut out on a photocopy. It gives me a template I can use later, and I don't want the lid, so I'm just doing a little lip like that. So I'll show you that one. So if I turn that off, I've got the shape. And then I will upload it and print it out on my printer. So for other people, it's quite easy. They might just want to cut a vase by eye, and that's fine. So this way I know I can print it out. I can fold it in half and cut it out so as it's really symmetrical. But I think I've got the right shape. In fact, I might even think that this lip could be just, just a little bit more. But I'll decide that when I'm cutting it out. Doesn't matter if there's a bit of a blurry line there. I'm using the side of the stylus, that's why it's shaded. I've got this thing over the top that it emulates paper, so otherwise your pen would slip all over the place. So it's pretty good. So I'm going to get and print that, and I'll be back. Okay, so here it is printed out. I think it's the right size for my piece. I do want it quite large, so I'm going to cut it out. Just cut that. So I'm just using a bit of the light behind to see that I'm matching up the lines. Now I'm going to have a lovely template. Beautiful. Now I'm aware of things like, if you're looking directly at it, would it have a rounded base or would it have a more square base? If you're looking this way, you might see that this is a little bit more rounded. So I might just take off just a bit. I don't want it completely flat, but I don't want it obviously wrongly rounded, if you know what I mean. Wrongly rounded. So this is how it's going to go, and up in behind here, all these little extra, I've got a whole heap of little extra bits too. Okay, well, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with nearly finishing my smaller piece. I will cut this out. Actually, I'll cut this out and come back. Okay, I have cut out some stabiliser and I've cut out the vase. So it's going to go here. This stabiliser is a double-sided stabiliser. So you peel off the paper and match it all up. And then iron it on. Now I want it to be about here, I think. Right. I've just put the phone holder on the ironing board, so sorry about the wobble. Moving around a bit today. It's 37 today, and I have to say, when I've finished this, I'm going to turn the air conditioner up very high and sit in front of it for a bit. So yes, apologies about the wobble, but there, that's on. Very nice. So I'm going to sign off now, and I hope you're all well. I may pop back in if I get a bit more of this done, but I think what I'll do is get this uploaded, and then another episode coming up of the vase and flowers as the single little piece. So thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.